is up, Devy guys? How are you guys doing today on the YouTube channel here at the Devy Royale? And like always, we're on our next episode of our little quick Devy Royale in 5. And what we're doing is we're looking at guys who are transferring to new teams and just what can we expect from them. Just kind of a little bit of rundowns, a little bit of highlights from last year's season. And you know what? We're going to start with Spencer Rattler today. And you know, Spencer is someone who is took a sharp, deep fall in Devy communities and just in general in this value. He was going at the 101, 102 in a lot of super flex drafts last year. Now he's got South Carolina. A lot of people thought he'd be going to the NFL. And you look at what South Carolina has done, they brought in a lot of guys. And you know what? When you're looking at kind of their roster and where they're at, it's an interesting move for them. For Spencer, it's a chance to start new. And when we think of Spencer, I mean, in 2020, he was on a high note. He finished off the year beating Florida in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. He threw for 3,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and people were saying he was the Heisman favorite. Lincoln Riley's offense, all those weapons, everything. And then we saw the season and what happened in it. You know, he was actually pretty efficient last year. 141, 87, 74% completion percentage versus a career high. 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. But something just wasn't right. And I do think I want to give Spencer the benefit of the doubt a little bit, just because I do think people don't realize how bad that offense was. And I don't think he was all to blame, as you saw even at the end of the year. Lincoln Riley left for a reason. I don't necessarily think Lincoln had a great coaching job last year. So to give Spencer some credit here is just say, hey, it wasn't all Spencer Rattler's fault. There were some other issues on that team. I think they had some chemistry issues. They had a lot of things. Now, could that have been because of Spencer? Yes, obviously we saw, his QB1. We've seen those things about him. But maybe this is a good, maybe he can come back from this. So let's talk about what he does well. Arm strength has always been there, and that's something that we're going to talk about and see on film. Pocket presence has always been there, and so is his release. All three of those things are good. Those three things that are good for him and he is able to do. So let's take a look at his film. When you're looking at his film and what he's able to do, again, he's got a good release, got a quick release. He anticipates well. So when you watch him on tape, he knows where his guys are supposed to be. I think he plays within the offense pretty well. And he played within Lincoln's offense pretty well, especially that's his sophomore season. He obviously didn't have a great year last year, but that release is effortless. And when you watch him play, now, I do think that at times he looks – I don't want to say lackadaisical for a better word, but just kind of looks not in tune with the game. But he knows where he's supposed to go. He's got good touch. He finds his receivers in stride. I do think that he can struggle a little bit because he just doesn't look like he wants to play, if that makes sense. Like, he's out there and he plays. You see it here. He does these things. But there's times where he just not into the offense, not into the game. And I do think that he can move. He has good pocket presence. He's not a dual threat by any means, but he's got functional athleticism. But when he plays within himself, he gets his feet set and he gives what the defense gives him and he takes what the defense gives him. I think he does well as a passer. And you'll see it here. Now, I will say, like, he benefits from having athletes like Gray doing this, these other guys doing this. A lot of quarterbacks do. If he can just do these things, and I will say, like, the reason why he was so efficient is he didn't take a lot of chances. And when he did take the chances, he threw the interceptions, and I think that worries you. But that throw right there to Stogner, I mean, those are the throws that you like to see it from him, excuse me. And then you're going to be here on platform, finds it. And I think that kind of separates him a little bit that he can do. He can make those throws and kind of extend plays. Again, who's going to be the guy that steps up? And I think that's the question mark. Is it going to be the kid that looked great going down his sophomore year in Oklahoma? Or is it going to be the kid that basically got benched for a true freshman in Caleb Williams and had to transfer? Now, where he's going with his value right now is ADP Devy C2C value, 5th to 7th round. It's not a terrible value if you look at it. If you're going to get this kid in the 6th, 7th round, I do think he's going to put numbers this year at South Carolina. He's got an easy schedule out of the stretch before he gets into the big boy SEC. A couple games where he can get his feet wet. He's going to have Marshawn Lloyd there. He's going to have Juju McDowell at running back. Christian Beal-Smith transferred in. Rashad Amos is going to be there. As far as wide receivers goes, DeCorin Joyner is there. Rico Powers, Xavier Leggett. You're going to have some of those guys there. They have a Landon Sampson kid who I think is going to be pretty good, a little freshman. At the same time, Austin Stogner's coming there, Jaheim Bell. So you're going to have some guys at the tight end position too. They're going to run that pro-style offense, which is good for him. And I think that's one of the reasons why they brought it in there. And they kind of enticed him to come there and said, hey, we'll get you ready for the NFL. So what can Spencer be? I'm probably going to avoid him in drafts. I'll be honest. If you're drafting him that high, you want him to be an NFL guy, 5th, 6th, 7th round. I feel like that's a quarterback no man's land. Like we talked about, I'll wait. If I'm going to go zero quarterback, he wouldn't be an option for me. If I can grab Cameron Ward, like we did a little video breakdown of him later in the drafts at the 10th round, I do that. You know what I mean? Spencer is not someone that I'm keying on in drafts, but I will say he has a chance at South Carolina to look better. And I think that's the key for him. Hey, can you look better? Can you make better decisions? Where do you come from? So, shout out to Spencer. I think that this is a good, maybe he has that good maturity of like, hey, I play like crap. I got to set this up. But South Carolina is going to be a sneaky fun team, I think. There's some things about South Carolina I like, especially Austin Stogner and Jaheim Bell. All right. Well, hey, there's Spencer Rattler. There's where he's going. There's some highlights from him. Again, please subscribe to the channel, but also subscribe to the podcast. We really appreciate every listen that we get from you guys. Until next time, we'll check you guys later.